now the party can start. And I'm opening with a special song just for you guys. Welcome to everybody who's joining us on Zoom. That's so nice. I don't know if any of you recognize that song, because some of you in this room might be too old and some of you might be too young. But that was, that's the nigun, the melody for a song called Free to Be You and Me from a classic mid-70s, it was a television program, stars put together by Marlo Thomas, who was that girl, Thomas's daughter, just at a time in history when we were starting to understand that the 1950s and 60s conventional roles of men and women were changing in our society, and that that things were, that world was breaking open. It was the feminist movement. And we're going to close with that song tonight, but we wanted to open with that nigun. And this is a special Sabbath. I'm Rabbi Marcia Tilchin, for those of you who are watching us virtually. And I'm just reaching the end of my one-year tenure here at Temple Beth Tikvah, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I have Andrew Edwards with me on piano, who's actually giving a concert here tomorrow at 1:30. So please tune in, because it's going to be a very beautiful experience. I would like to invite our moms and our kids up to help me light the candles. Can you guys come help me? Come on. Come on down. Come on down. If the price is right, it's free. Come on. Gigi, I hope you'll stand next to me. And Lucas, will you? Yeah, no. Okay. You guys know what to do. But I'm gonna do the fire because it's dangerous for little kids, okay? We ready? Here, why don't you light the first one and I'll have Candace light the second one. That's okay. It's wax. And don't forget, you guys, we're going to make the 3 circles with our hands. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Good Shabbos, everybody. And now you can kiss someone you love and wish them a good Shabbos. Can you kiss? Oh, shoot, you got a candy. No, it's perfect. You're supposed to have candy on Shabbos. Okay. We are going to begin on our Kabbalat Shabbat service on page 130 with Lechuna Ranana. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Naria Litzor Yishenu Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Naria Litzor Yishenu Nekadma Fana Bitoda Bizmirot Naria Lo Nekadma Fana Bitoda Bizmirot Naria Lo. Please join me in English at the bottom. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. We're going to sing again the first paragraph in Hebrew. Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Naria Litzor Yishenu Lechuna Ranana l'Adonai Naria Litzor Yishenu Nikadma Fana Bitoda Bizmirot Naria Lo Nikadma Fana Bitoda Bizmirot Naria Lo. And we continue on the next page, 131, with Psalm 96. This is a classic Shlomo Carlebach melody. Some of you may know it. You'll pick it up, and it's really fun. It's really boisterous, and you can dance. By the way, if we have any people who are interested in expressive movement, that's okay. Adonai, Shir Hadash, Shiru Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Sapru v'goyim kivodo, B'chol ha'amim niflotav, Ki gadol Adonai, Umehulal me'od, Norahu, Al kol Elohim, ay, 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 Ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, V'Adonai shamayim asa, Hod behadar lefanav, Oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho, Yai dai 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 dai, Yai dai dai, Yai dai dai, Yai dai 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 dai, Yai dai 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 dai, Yai dai dai, Yai dai 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 dai, Yai dai dai dai, Yai dai 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 dai. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai. Bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. Adonai is great and much acclaimed. And in that light, we're going to, speaking of light, I want to invite you to join me at the bottom of page 132 in Hebrew. This is something I've done here before over the course of the year. Or zaru alat tzadik uli yishrei lev simcha. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. That's what that means. And all you have to do is yum biddy bum. Okay, so here we go. Yum biddy bum, 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 yum. That's it. Yum biddy bum, 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 yum biddy bum. Keep going. Or zaru alat tzadik ule yishrei lev simcha. Or zaru alat tzadik ule yishrei lev simcha. Yum biddy bum, 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 yum biddy bum. One more time, yum biddy bum. Or zaru alat tzadik ule yishrei lev simcha. Yum biddy bum. Or zaru alat tzadik ule yishrei lev simcha. Yum biddy bum, 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 yum biddy bum bum. Really good. I invite you to turn to page 135. We'll join together the bottom three lines in Hebrew. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Adonai Eloheinu romamu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Emma, I don't know if you're in the room, but somebody does want to be admitted. I think it's Jeremy. Oh, and you saw that. Great. Awesomeness. Good Shabbos, Jeremy. Good Shabbos, Jean and Sylvia. And Ken Bloomfield, so glad you're all here. And so now we're going to do Psalm 29 on page 136. Mizmor LeDavid, Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, Havu l'Adonai, Kavod va'ozai, Havu l'Adonai, Kevod shemo, Ishtachavu l'Adonai, B'hadrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim, Adonai al mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidem kimo egel levanon, Visiryon kimo ven re'emi mayai, Kol Adonai chotzev lavodesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yachol el ayalot, vayechesof ye'arot uvehechalo, kulo omer kavod, ay Adonai lamahabu yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Yai da 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 yai da da da, yai da 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 yai da da, yai da 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 yai da da, yai da 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 da. Thank you, Reb Shlomo, for that beautiful melody. We're on page 138, Lechadodi. We'll do verses 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9. Lechadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Shamor v'zachu dibur echad, Hishmi anu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad ushemo echad, L'shem u'letiferet v'litila, Lechadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nekabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat echila, Lechadodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hidoreri kiva orech kumi ori shir daberi kivod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikami mati shochachi umatemi bach yechesu ani yami v'nivneta ir altila. Please rise. Lecha dodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. We turn and face the door, and let's welcome in the Sabbath Queen with a little bow. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala likrat gada likrat Shabbat b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. Please join me. We're going to read a psalm for Shabbat. The first 7 lines in English, and we'll close with Tzadik HaTamar on page 140. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai! How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadik HaTamar. Tzadik HaTamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon yizkeh shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvot beseva deshenim verananim iyu lehagid ki ashar Adonai tzuri tzuri velo avlatabo. I invite you to turn to page 144 as we begin Ma'ariv with the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah B'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו Amen. Please rise and join me for the Baruch Hu on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach ba hambo leo. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. I have a special poem that I want to share with you called Twilight People, written by Rabbi Reuben Zellman, and this was for Pride Shabbat, which this is at our congregation. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for twilight. For twilight is neither day or night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles, at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light and swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both. We are neither. We are and everything. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define. We can always say a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight. And we continue with Ahavat Olam on page 150. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael. Amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, al-kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachveinu u'v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha li'olam va'ed, ki heim chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, uvahem nehegei yomam v'layla, nehege yomam v'layla, v'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please join me on page 152. I invite you to cover your eyes and just take a moment to focus as we get ready to say Shema together. Take in a breath. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Olam Va'ed. We are on page 154. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukashartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvihisharecha Leman tizikiru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'hiyitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Emet. Please join me at the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we are taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Miriam, ze'eli anu v'amru, ze'eli anu v'amru, Adonai yimoch le'olam va'ed, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai, v'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai, Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. We continue with Hashkivenu on page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom v'hamidenu Shomreinu l'chaim Ufaros aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha V'taknenu b'etza tova milfanecha V'hoshienu Lema'an shemecha V'hagein ba'adenu v'haser me'aleinu oyev dever v'cherev v'ra'av v'yagon v'harchek mimenu avon v'afesha. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us, and you deliver us. You, God, are gracious and merciful. Please guard our coming and our going to life and peace and evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 162, V'shamru. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. I invite you to rise now for the meditation before the Amidah. The meditation begins on 164, the Amidah on 166, and it concludes, we'll have a moment for silent reflection. It concludes on page 180. Adonai sifatai tiftach Ufia gitehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Shalom bimromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. 180. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, bi'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, bi'al kol Yisrael. Be'imru, amen. Thank you. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that service isn't over, but it is such a joy to pray with you, Andrew. I feel like you give your own spiritual dimension to the music, and I really feel that, and it inspires me. So I just am tipping my hat to you and sharing my appreciation. We're gonna, just as we conclude our Amidah, we're gonna offer a prayer for healing for those who we know in our lives who need some good energy sent their way. We know that it works. People have said, people who've been very sick said, I felt people praying for me. So we want to be able to do that. And of course, there's so many people in the world who need our wishes for healing, psychological, physical, emotional. So we want to come together as best we can to do that. I'm going to read the names on the community Mishaberach list, and then if there are other names that we want to include here, and also our friends on Zoom. If names that you'd like to add, please do, and we'll say them aloud. We're thinking about Alan Boyarsky, Anita Muchnikoff, Barbara Bevins, Barry Pesner, Dale Scully, David Trachtman, Ed Schechter, Elaine Solomon, Evelyn Ma, Florence Nagler, Greg Weitzman, Zach Pesner, Susan Grosser, Shirley Zaidman, Sharon Lee, Minnie Rubin, Mike Sussman, Michael Hennig, Michael Goldberg, Karen Guth, Jerry Harmon. I'm thinking about Dale Prinstein. I'm thinking about Mark Gilds. Are there other names that we want to include here? Thank you. Do we have names on Zoom?
Myra Siegel, Rosemary Conat, Roger Conat, and Marlene Importico.
Thank you. Please join me in the Misha Berach on 371. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBaracha V'loi Motenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu Refuah Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Refuah Shlema Lekulam. Okay, Andrew, you get a little bit of a break, and now we're going to learn some Torah together. I have a handout for you. Maybe I'm going to invite my great assistant, Lila, to hand these out. By way of introduction, don't read ahead. I'm going to read this whole thing aloud. I don't think maybe we'll need a microphone, Emma, just in case somebody wants to say a few words or, share the reading with me. But before we do, I just want to say that, you can see that we're living in very significant times, because this year, for the first time, during the month of June, which is, there's African American Heritage Month, and there's Jewish Heritage Month. June is Pride Month, and it's the month where people focus on hosting programs that are there to educate and open minds and hearts. And I just wanted to share a personal story with you, because I think I think I sort of represent a sort of interesting demographic, which is that I consider myself enlightened, but in certain ways. But when I was first asked to state my pronouns, this was about 9 years ago. I was at a meeting, and they said, state your pronouns. And I went to I just need to say I went to rabbinical school as an older person, like for many years. That we won't talk about, but took me too long. But I was with much younger people in school, and I actually didn't know what they meant. I mean, can you imagine my embarrassment? And I'm there, and everyone's like stating their pronoun, and so I waited to see. I was almost cheating on the test, looking at the paper of the guy next to me, state your pronoun. So that was when I first heard about she, her, he, him, his, they, them, theirs, and I was like, what? I didn't honestly, and then the reason it was so interesting is that I went on this mission to El Salvador and Nicaragua, and we were working. I went with American Jewish World Service. Go figure. I thought I'd be building a hut in Haiti after the hurricane or something like that. Something like that when I signed up for this program. But we went to help and support and learn about the plight of trans women in South America. Well, that was an education for me. In every way. And so I want to just say that it's been a road for me to really just understand that gender and sexuality are not the same thing. And I've gone to so many different lectures and conferences. And as a person who just yesterday turned a new age, I want to say, this is something that I'm growing in also. I guess I just want to say that. That's the best way for me to say that. So what I want to just point out, I've been doing some reading about this, and it's very interesting because Judaism historically, from the first words in the Torah, recognized that gender was fluid, that we all contain bits of everything, and that how we present doesn't necessarily define who we are or what we should do or how we should think or how we operate in the world and how we want people to see us. It's just everybody's different. And Judaism understood this. Certainly the Bible did. Definitely the rabbis of the Talmudic, Mishnaic, and Talmudic age did. And it was only when Christianity and Islam really came into being as the dominant religions and were really there was no room in the New Testament and in the Quran for that. And Judaism then adopted a much more fearful, less relaxed stance on it. I don't know a better way. And many of our halachot that we had, there are some words in the Torah that define things, but people still understood that this was So I wanted to share this with you. Alana Susskind wrote this when she was still a rabbinical student. She became a conservative rabbi and then an Orthodox rabbah, very, very well-studied woman. And I wanted to look at this article that she wrote and then something else I thought you'd find interesting. The title is, for those of you who are with us on Zoom, Bet You Didn't Know What the Talmud Says About Gender Ambiguity. Whatever tendencies we might have to think that gender studies is a concept new to the world after feminism, the rabbis of the Talmud have been deeply fascinated by the exceptions and margins of gender for well over 1,500 years. The rabbis who created Jewish law lived in a male-dominated society, so it's unsurprising that rabbinic law treats the male as the norm and the female, by definition, as an anomaly, a deviation from the norm. Still, the sages do perceive women as human beings, creatures similar to men in important ways. Women are both like and not like men. This leaves the rabbis in a quandary when they stumble across individuals whose gender categories are even more unclear than those of women. And by the way, rabbis did not understand women. I just want to be clear. You can find many passages in the Talmud where the rabbis are talking about, like, you can't waste your time talking to women. They do this, this, and this. So you can find exceptions of brilliant women in the Talmud too, but really they were the other. So she's not making this up. So women, at least, have a role that is obvious to the sages. They are exempt from certain commandments, while Jewish men are obligated to all the commandments under most circumstances. So what is to be done with those who do not fit neatly into these categories? It is not perfectly clear how many genders the rabbis recognized, perhaps as few as 2, or as many as 7, and some say 8. In Tractate Yevamot discusses the following gender categories. Turn the page. They discuss androgynous, a person who has aspects of both male and female genitalia. Tumtum, a person whose genitals are obscured, making their gender uncertain. Ilonit, a female who fails to produce signs of female maturity by the age of 20. And saris, the general term for a male who does not produce signs of maturity by the age of 20. So there is some debate about whether he needs to fail to produce all signs or only some of them to be considered a saris, meaning he might have a light beard, but, other things, whatever. The category of saris can still be broken down further into 2. Saris chama is a male who is sterile because he was born that way, and a saris adam is a male who is sterile because he was castrated. Note that the rabbis define a person's gender strictly according to external physical attributes, not behavior. That is, they do not have a modern notion that a person might have male genitalia and still identify as a woman. Turn the page. The discussion in Tractate Yevamot is typical of Talmudic process, attempting to clarify which people must observe which aspects of Jewish law. That's all they're caring about, by the way. Do you have to light the candles on Shabbos? They're not talking about anything else, right? Generally, tumtumim are treated like women, except for many commandments, and androgynoi are somewhat in between the legal categories of men and women. For example, tumtumim and women cannot feel the obligation to blow the shofar for themselves or for others. Androgynoi can feel their obligation for themselves, but not for others. A man, however, can blow a shofar for himself and for others. In this way, the rabbis of the Talmud managed to include intersex Jews into their system of Jewish law and ritual participation. Okay, very simple. But she was giving an example of the fact that they knew it was there, they knew there were people, and their only question was not who do you love, what are you doing that's illegal, what's happening behind closed doors, what do you have to do? What do you have to listen to the Megillah? Probably all these guys had to listen to the Megillah, all the things that whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, flip. So then I included this really interesting passage that this from a much larger source sheet that sort of shares with us how some proof texts that there's always recognition about how fluid this is. Beginning with Genesis 1:27. In the beginning, God created. God created human beings in the divine image, creating them in the image of God, creating male and female. And then in Bereshit Rabbah, the Midrash on Bereshit, Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar said, when God created Adam HaRishon, the first human, he was created as an androgynous, androgynous is how you say it, that's how you'd spell it. Thus it is written, male and female did he create them. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman said, when God created Adam HaRishon, he created him with two faces, one on each side. And when he made Chava, he split him along the middle, forming two backs. The other rabbis challenged him, but it's written, and he took one of those ribs. Rabbi Nachman said to them, mitzalotav doesn't mean rib, it means one of his sides. And it doesn't mean rib. That's from the second creation story. It doesn't mean he put him to sleep and he took from his side. Well, he could have just sliced him in half. I mean, he could have, whatever he did. So, that was sort of a later understanding. So now let's talk about this fabulous midrash about Sarah and Abraham, the first Jews, right? It's fabulous. Turn the page. Rabbi Ami stated, Abraham and Sarah were originally tumtumim. Meaning they didn't present either. For it is said, look unto to the rock whence you were hewn, and to the hole of the pit whence you were dug, from Isaiah. And this is followed by the text, look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah who bore you. Rabbi Nachman stated, in the name of Rabbah bar Abuya, our mother Sarah was an Ilonite, for it is said, and Sarah was barren. She had no child. She had not even a womb. So that was the understanding. Sarah had no womb. Now, by the way, if Sarah had no womb, what's the problem with that picture? How did Isaac get here? Right? But that was a midrash. But what I want to say to you is that this is one of the midrashim, Mark and others, that the virgin birth is built on. I just want to go there with you, that was, that because if it was Sarah who's the foundation, the first mother of Judaism, and Mary is the mother of what will eventually be Christianity, there's a lot of similarities. I just thought that I brought that for that point. Now, last but not least, there's an Orthodox responsa from Rabbi Eliezer Waldenberg in his collection. He addresses some specifics regarding transgender people in halakha. This was in the early 1900s. And the last of which is considered very important and controversial. He writes, I also saw a book called Yosef et Achiv that asks, if there's a case of a woman who led a normal life for years and then became a man, does he need to get a divorce document? Because when he got married, she was a woman. Or is there no get because he isn't a woman? You got to love this. It seems to me in this question that there is no need for a get because he's a man and not a woman. I love this. Okay. As I said, as for a man like this, who was a woman, who changed to a man, when he says morning blessings, he does not say the blessing, who did not make me a woman. Praise are you for not making me a woman. That's one of the blessings that the conservative movement took out of the daily prayers, and so did the Reform. Because although he came out of his mother's womb into the world as a woman, he should say, blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has changed me into a man. Okay. The identity and birthright of a human is not expressed by the separate organ parts of the body, and this will be the most important, but by the spirit and the soul, which are within them. The Chatam Sofer got it right when he wrote that the body is not the human. Rather, the body is a bag made of dust, and within that bag is inner wisdom, knowledge, and thoughts, which are the true definitions of personality. And 100 years ago, and many before then. And I have thought often, and I'll close with this. I have lots of people who have fluid gender in my family. I have my first cousin who's 82, his granddaughter got married. The granddaughter, uses pronouns they, them. They, them met a companion who's also a they, them, both born female. The companion, interestingly enough, African American, found Judaism before they met my cousin. They fell in love. Kendra, the one who married into our family, is in rabbinical school at Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. And they had the most traditional Jewish wedding I've been to in a long time. And it was fascinating. It was done by a great teacher of Talmud who's also non-binary. And I'm telling you, the bracha, it was so fantastic. I learned so much. So it made me love Judaism, that my first cousin twice removed could find love, live a very religious Jewish life,